Welcome to reality. You're now on the Code of Mind channel. Are you sure you are you? That there is some I with its own character, tastes, traumas, dreams? That you are this bundle of thoughts and feelings gathered into one figure? But if you drop the habit, everything looks different. From the point of view of biology, there is no I inside your head. There are about 3 pounds of wet biomass, where billions of neurons, trillions of connections, chemistry, electricity, signals. Not a single one of those neurons, on its own, knows what your name is, who you love, what you fear, who you dreamed of being as a child. It doesn't even know that you're listening to this text right now. The brain would find it extremely inconvenient to function without a single unified image. Imagine if every time you had to separately account for your list of memories, your set of fears, your current emotions, your social roles, and also the state of your body. That's too complex, so the brain does something simpler. It creates a central character. The image of I is like in a game. There's a huge number of parameters, formulas, codes, but all of it is controlled through one avatar. Same here. The brain collects your experience, your reactions, your past decisions, glues it all into one Uslavny figure and says, "This is you. From this moment on, we will live through it." From this moment, everything in life spins around one question. What does this mean for me? For this I? That's how the hero of the story is born, the one you think you are. Now let's strip the romance away completely. We're used to saying, "I'm in pain, I feel, I'm hurt." But if you look at it harshly, behind all of it there are signals. If you hit your finger on a sharp edge of a table, receptors in the skin fire, an impulse travels along the nerve, a circuit switches in the spinal cord, activity appears in the cortex associated with pain. But neither the receptor nor the neuron suffers. They don't care. They're just doing their job. The one that suffers is the story. The brain receives the signal and inserts it into the script. I'm alive, I'm in pain, I was treated badly. And now you're not offended at the table, you're offended at a person. You're not reacting to the fact, you're reacting to the meaning. You can perjivate one situation for years even though the body healed a long time ago. A simple example. Remember something unpleasant from the past. You were humiliated, betrayed, not supported. The event is already gone. The people might not even be around anymore. The body is safe. But the moment the brain replays that scene on repeat, the body responds as if it's happening right now. The chest tightens, there's heaviness in the stomach, breathing changes, the same emotions flare up. That is the work of the inner novel. The brain turns the episode on again, and the character called I relives the pain again. Neurons are simply firing. The story suffers. Why even stage this whole performance? Why not just live as a set of reflexes? Because the world is too complex. For the organism, it's wygodno to have not only reflexes like hunger, food, fear, escape, but a model that can think ahead. This model has to be able to predict how you will behave in different situations, remember what has already happened to you, evaluate what is dangerous for you and what is pleasant, and interact with other models like itself. People. That's why the brain creates a simulation of a human being. Just like you, but inside. It's not just a name and a set of facts. It's a reaction type, a thinking style, familiar scripts, a typical role in relationships, victim, rescuer, controller, rebel, and so on. For example, if your internal story contains "I always carry everything on my own," the brain will filter any help as suspicious. If the firmware is "I always get abandoned," you'll see hints of leaving even in neutral gestures. If "I am nobody" is Zakreplano inside, any criticism will be perceived as confirmation of that truth. The brain models you like that, and then it looks at the world through that model. It's like putting on a VR helmet with a fear filter. In any shadow, you will start seeing a threat. Now let's hit the sacred thing. Reality. We are sure we see the world as it is, but in fact, you have never seen a single real object directly. Physically, there are photons flying from light sources. Different wavelengths, pressure, temperature, vibrations. These signals hit the retina, the hearing system, the receptors in the skin. Then the brain receives bare mathematics, brightness patterns, oscillation frequency, a set of impulses. And right there it performs a magic trick. It assembles a game with graphics. It draws walls, faces, sky, horizon, distance, colors. But it also draws meaning. This person is dangerous. That is a posture of contempt. That facial expression is disgust. This place is safe. You can go here. You can't go there. For different people, the same frame produces different realities. One person walks into a room and feels, everyone is tense, it's better to stay quiet. Another person in the same second thinks, boring people, now I'll wake them up. The room is the same, but the worlds inside the heads are different. It's like two players in the same location. One plays as a fearful character, the other as a bold one, and each sees their own threats and opportunities. The physics is shared. The interface is personal. Look at a few effects that give the simulation away. Perceptual illusions. Any optical illusion shows it. The brain doesn't photograph the world, it guesses. Sometimes you see a line as straight that is actually broken. Sometimes two different colors seem identical because of context. Sometimes it feels like an object is moving even though the image is static. Why does this happen? Because for the brain, it matters more to give you a working picture fast than a perfectly accurate one. It inserts templates. That looks like a face. That's probably a road. That's movement. And it draws you a version that resembles the world. Phantom pain. A person lost an arm. Physically, it's not there anymore, but they keep feeling pain in fingers that don't exist at all. Why? Because the body map in the brain stayed the same. The arm program didn't update in time, meaning the body changed, but the internal model did not. And the one suffering is not the body, it's the map. There is an experiment with patients whose hemispheres were surgically separated by cutting the bridge connecting them to treat severe epilepsy. A visual signal is shown to one hemisphere. The other does not receive that input directly. And what happens? One hemisphere performs an action and the other invents an explanation without knowing the true reason. For example, a person is shown the command stand up to one hemisphere. He stands up. And when you ask him, why did you stand up? The other hemisphere confidently answers, I wanted to drink water, or I needed to stretch. The brain loves inventing a plausible story after the fact, and you believe that version as your conscious motivation. When all of this comes together, you get an unpleasant conclusion. You live inside a narrative, not in an objective reality. The brain writes your role. The brain draws the scene around you. The brain explains every event in a way that preserves the integrity of the story. If inside you it says, I'm a loser, then any events will be filtered through that lens. Success? Just luck, it won't happen again. Praise? They just pitied me. A mistake? There it is, this one is real, this is who I am. The story protects itself. The brain does everything to avoid Razrushit, the central myth. That's why you can walk the same circles for years. Meet different people but end up in the same scenarios. Change cities, countries, professions, and inside feel the same role. Not because the world is like that, but because the character inside you is written that way. But there is one detail that breaks everything. Sometimes you suddenly notice all of this from the outside. For example, you're angry, yelling, but in parallel inside there is a quiet observer. Look, I'm having another tantrum. You're jealous, but somewhere deeper. I understand it's my fear, but it still floods me. You're sitting in depression and inside. I understand this state isn't me, but I'm in it. There is a layer that can see the story without dissolving into it 100%. You can call it different names: awareness, consciousness, the observer, a formless interface, a spark. But the fact remains, there is something that doesn't change as quickly as roles do. It doesn't depend on the plot. It can look at thoughts, emotions, and the body as objects. It's like a viewer in a movie theater. The film can be scary, but you know you're sitting in the seat. The film can be a drama, but you see it's a story, not your life. In normal mode, you forget this and fall into the character. But the moment you remember, something inside relaxes. Ah, this is not all of me. This is just another scene. Now, here's the point. The trick is not to destroy the character. The character is needed to interact with others, to create, to love, to play this game called life. The point is balance, not dissolving into the role completely. When you believe you are only the story, any criticism is an attack on your existence. Any breakup is the end of life. Any failure is proof that I am nothing. Any hate is a signal. I must disappear. But when you begin to see the mechanics, this is just my script playing out. The old jealousy program switched on. My brain again drew motives onto other people. You get space between stimulus and reaction. In that space, you can rewrite the reaction, break the old loop, change the role. The world doesn't become fake. It stays the same. But you stop being a hostage of your inner TV series. You still feel pain, joy, fear, love. But now you know that is the experience of the character. And the one who observes is much bigger than any role. And from this moment begins what I call real awakening. If something clicked quietly inside you right now, if you caught that feeling, damn, I really live inside a story I'm telling myself, then you already took a step from the role into observation. And now there's only one question. Will you keep playing the old script? Or will you start rewriting the role while staying the one who sees the whole film at once? I wish you all the best, awareness, and the best branch of reality. Thanks for being here on the channel. See you in the next video. Bye, everyone.